Everybody, you're watching the Mike Nelson Show. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We got over 400 subscribers. I want to thank everybody who's already subscribed. Today, I got a very special guest. I got the legend, Ross the Boss. How you doing today, Ross?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good. It is the first week of November. Halloween was just this past week, but I'm definitely doing good. So,
Uh-huh. Good.
when did you start playing music, Ross? When did your whole musical journey kick off?
Uh, well, I first started playing piano when I was like 6 or 7, piano, and I was very good. As a matter of fact, they said I was kind of like some sort of prodigy to my parents, and then I didn't like they switched teachers on me, so I quit piano like an idiot. And then in junior high school, I went to I started I I wanted to play in the orchestra, so that's when they actually had music in schools, in public schools. So there was a need for violin, so I said, I'll play violin. So I picked up violin, and I didn't know how to play it, but by the third week, I was first violin.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was violin, but then I found myself like in the middle of the English wave of rock and roll, and all this music was pouring through, and Hendrix and Cream and Led Zeppelin, and I kind of looked at myself. I said, "Dude, you are a nerd. Like, you're a Jewish kid from the Bronx wearing glasses with short hair." I go, I got to kind of like change my image a little bit. This is not going to make it. So I put the violin down, and then I told my grandma, I said, Graham, let's go get me a guitar. So she actually walked with me to the music store and got me my first acoustic guitar. And then I started playing, and then the rest is history. So,
Now, my first instrument was violin as well. How do you think playing violin helped you, playing guitar later?
well, I mean, playing any instrument is good. Any instrument, knowledge of the treble clef, knowledge of the bass clef, which I had. And then, of course, the fingerings and stuff like that. I mean, violin is completely different. It's like more like mandolin, but um, it's all good. Any musical um, input is excellent. You know.
Now, growing up in New York, what were some of your favorite bands? There was a lot of stuff going on in the 70s in New York. So, what were some of your favorite bands?
Well, first of all, I was a really a child of the Fillmore East. Which was
Yeah.
which is the Greenwich Village and the Village, and I would sneak out and go there. I mean, I would just you know see so many shows there, and there was so much influence happening there. Um, you know, I was telling my friends, there was the Fillmore East, and across the street there was the Anderson Theater, and I saw this band called the New Yardbirds. Right? They were
Yeah.
called the New York. They later changed their name to Led Zeppelin,
Yep.
and I saw that show, and it turned out it was promoted by my future manager and the man that discovered me, Sandy Pearlman, the manager of the Blue Oyster Cult, lyricist. Rest in peace, Sandy. And you know, a lot of things like I kept seeing. My mind was a sieve of information and styles. Like I took in all the guitar styles of people I really loved. Mike Bloomfield. Being a Jewish kid from an urban city, Chicago. I was very, very, I idolized him. The Mike in the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, and blues was my super passion, of course, and BB King and Freddie King and Albert, and then Peter Green, and then the West Coast guys, Yorma Kekkonen and Jerry Garcia and Quicksilver, and then so many great bands, so much music, and every band seemed to have a really great guitar player at the time, and who was fully invested in the blues, which had to be. I mean, and then I got to be a fan of Savoy Brown, who later became Foghat, and those guys were tremendous. And 10 years after, Alvin Lee was, I mean, I really loved him. I mean, for his accuracy, for his speed, for his passion, his voice, and of course Jimi Hendrix and Clapton on Cream. I saw Cream
Wow.
twice. I saw Cream twice, and I saw Hendrix twice.
Wow. Very lucky.
So I mean, I it was a great time for music. I mean, it really was, and guitar especially, because guitar ruled the roost in in the music.
So talk to me about the Dictators. Was that your first like pro band?
Yeah. So I was up. It was like 1972. So after high school, I found myself up in my high school band. We were up in New Paltz College, up in it's New York State. It's a state college, New Paltz, and which happened to be the top two party schools in the nation at the time. It was Berkeley, and then it was New Paltz. It was the top two party schools,
Wow.
which was not good for higher education,
Yeah.
but for having a good time, it was excellent. Um, so basically, we were up in New Paltz, and just playing around, doing dorm, doing fraternities and doing all this stuff, and having a good decent time of it. And then no one's taking school seriously. So I already dropped out of. I was going to college at Lehman College in the Bronx, and another very famous fellow named Ace Frehley dropped out from the Bronx too, like me, like dropped out of Lehman College. We have that double honor of dropping out of the same college around the same time. And don't try that at home, kids. But so this guy named Andy Chernoff used to come to our shows all the time, and our gigs and our parties and all the time. And he said, look, you want to form a band? Yeah, I'm looking to form a band. I'm looking to do something different. And so I go, well, what do you play? I go, well, I don't play anything. I said, well, Andy, you're going to have to play something. So, I'll play the bass. So we went and got himself a bass, and it's the same bass. He's got a few, but it's the same bass he's playing. It's the same precision bass that it's very famous punk bass, and so he's still got that bass. It's amazing bass, and Fender Precision. And so he started playing bass, and we got a house together. I got a house. I rented a house in the middle of a cornfield. So I didn't want to insult anybody with our sounds. I didn't want anybody to be like, they suck, like call cops all the time. And we were in the middle of nowhere, Kerhonkson, New York. And so we told our friend Scott to come up. Scott, you got to quit college and come up and join the band. So Scott came up, and he just started playing guitar. So I was teaching him a lot, and but Andy had friends in the business. In the business, he knew guys that wrote for Crawdaddy and Cream, and Andy had his own fanzine called the Teenage Wasteland Gazette. So we had a lot of people, and one of those guys was this guy Sandy Pearlman, who was the main guy in Blue Oyster Cult. He was the manager of BOC and the guy that wrote lyrics for them and created that image of Blue Oyster Cult that we still see. Those amazing so we got Sandy Pearlman to come up and see the band. He drove all the way up to Kerhonkson from Long Island, and we played we didn't even have our drummer was a part-time drummer, and his girlfriend hated us, wouldn't come into our house, and stayed in the parking lot there because she fucking hated us. And so this guy was like our drummer, and that was the three of us. It was me, Scott, and Andy, and this drummer, and we played and played like 3 songs for Sandy, and he goes, I don't need to hear anymore, guys. We're not going to sign with MCA. That was the first thing he said.
Wow.
And I looked at Richard. I looked at Andy. I looked at them. I go, oh, so next thing you know, we're out of Kerhonkson, moved back down to the city. We're at CBS Studios recording our demo, and voila, we have a record contract with CBS.
Wow. Let's fast forward to your next band, Shaky Street.
Before we played our first gig.
Really? You got your first record deal before you even played a gig.
That's
wow,
right.
That's very rare.
Yeah.
Once in a lifetime. Let's fast forward to your next band, Shaky Street. You ended up playing in France, a French rock band, Shaky Street. How was it like moving to another country?
It was very interesting. Well, Sandy discovered Shaky Street in Paris when Blue Oyster Cult was playing there, and she was a very, very beautiful singer. Fabienne Shine came there. Well, they were on CBS France, and BOC's on CBS, so it made a lot of sense. So she kind of like seduced Sandy, and because she's going out with Jimmy Page, and she seduced Sandy, and Sandy decided to manage the band, and then Fabienne goes, Sandy, our guitar player is gone. He sold his guitar for heroin. This guy, Armeek, sold his guitar for heroin. And so Sandy goes, well, because we had done 3 records, Dictators had done 3 records, and we were taking some time off. And Sandy goes, I got the perfect guy for you. Perfect guy for you. 2 seconds later, I get a phone call. They want you in Paris.
Wow.
Who wants me in Paris, Sandy? They. I go, who's they? Oh, Shakin' Street. Okay. There's a ticket for you waiting tomorrow at the airport already. So I get my guitar, pack a little thing, a few things, and get on the plane, go to Paris. They pick me up. We go to their room in the University of Paris. We have a room there. They had a room there. I go in there, put it in, plug in. I play like 5 seconds, and they stop it. You're in the band.
Wow.
Want to join the band? I said, okay. All right. So then Sandy, we recorded the record in San Francisco, and then he puts us out on tour with the Black and Blue tour with Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult. We did a lot of those shows, and then we found ourselves in England playing with Black Sabbath. Right?
How was it like playing with Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult? 2 legends.
Mind blowing, bro. But the English tour was just heaven and hell with Black Sabbath. Sandy was managing them, actually managing Black Sabbath for a while. So he got us to open all the UK dates. And I found myself in, I think it was Nottingham or Birmingham. That was Manchester. That was one of those cities, one of those Odeons. And then Ronnie Dio comes up to me after the sound check. He's watching. He goes, Russ, I really know about, I know about the Dictators and a New York rock scene and everything. You're a really great guitar player. Really love the way you play. But I got this guy on our crew. His name's Joey DeMeo. I go, yeah. So he goes, well, he plays bass and you should go meet him. So I go, okay. Yes, sir. That's general. So I go, so after the sound check, I got about an hour before the doors. And so I sought Joey out, and we became friends, and we started jamming in Black Sabbath's dressing room. And we started putting plans together for a band. And the last show that I would be playing would be Aloha Stadium in Hawaii. And we cleared it with Sandy. I cleared it with Shakin' Street. We got a replacement for me in Shakin' Street, so it was honorable. I didn't want to hurt anybody. We didn't want to hurt anybody. We wanted very, honorable, So we, it's the story of this whole thing it's in the song Manowar. Okay. We met on English ground in the backstage room. We heard the sound, and we all knew what we had to do. We called the high command, which was Sandy, So anyway, so the band that we formed, obviously, was Manowar. So that's that.
And with Manowar, you guys started playing in the New York area at first. When you went back to the United States, did you guys kind of do the whole club circuit in New York? How did the whole live show start out for the band?
No, we did a couple of shows down in Florida where we were living, and then we came back and we got the Ted Nugent tour when Battle Hymns came out around May of '82, and we just kept, that didn't last long because Ted wouldn't tolerate. I mean, all our equipment dwarfed his. I mean, and we just had so much. We had a brand new semi full of brand new equipment, and Ted Nugent really took exception to that, but we were ferocious, and he wasn't going to put up with that for the whole time. There's no way. I just met him again in Long Island.
Wow.
And we talked. He's a great guy. So, and then our record label, EMI Liberty was Kenny Rogers' label. Wow. And they had absolutely no idea what to do with Manowar. I mean, they never saw anything like this band, us, and but they got us started. We made Battle Hymns. I had all our equipment bought, and so they dropped us. We parted ways. We had Kiss manager Bill Aucoin for a while. He got us a buyout, and then with that buyout money, we recorded It's a Glory Ride.
Let's go back to, you said you guys were touring with Ted Nugent. You guys, I read somewhere that you guys actually put together a tour by yourselves after that, right? Is that true? You guys, you guys dropped out of the tour. Did you guys did you guys do your headlining tour after that? What happened after that?
Started doing dates. We played with Johnny Z and Megaforce, soon to be Megaforce. We did World War III. I mean, we did what we could do. Looking back on it, we didn't do enough. We should have just took a little truck forget about all the giant gear and just took a truck and just go, just play like, and all and there was a big buzz for Manowar, but we just, Joey insisted upon having every bit of gear. So, there you go. But our fan base was growing in Europe very, very, a lot. So,
talk to me how you got to deal with Megaforce. How did that happen?
Well, we recorded Into Glory Ride, and we had cassette back then. We we just we the tape found its way to Johnny Z, and he was really blown away. He was into it. Of course, he had discovered this tape from Metallica, and he found them. We found us. He found a lot of bands, and then he found and then this band Anthrax was bothering him a lot. I mean, really bothering him, and he wouldn't sign Anthrax. And so Johnny Z goes, "Why don't you go ask Ross the Boss to produce some stuff for you, and then get back to me?" Because they would hunt him down at rest stations on the turnpike in New Jersey. They were crazy. Scott was crazy. So Scott asked me to produce, and I goes, "It'd be great." And I wound up producing 2 songs for them, Soldiers of Metal and Howling Furies. And next thing I know, Ross calls me, Scott calls me and goes, "He's signing us. He loves it. He loves Soldiers of Metal." He goes, "That was the song that got Anthrax signed, was my tape." And it was great. I was so pleased, very pleased about that. I really was.
Is it true you guys signed the contract with your own blood?
Yes, we did.
Well, tell me the story about that.
Well, nothing was too impossible for Manowar, and we wanted to make we felt slighted by the industry, and we wanted to make a statement to everybody and let people know that we weren't fucking around. And so, how about starting a contract? Well, Kiss did something with blood, mixing blood into the ink of their comic books or something. I don't know, but we were gonna do it for real. We were actually going to draw our own blood live, and we did it, right? And I wound up doing it here, somewhere here. This one, this like that, and of course the blade was dull, so I just wound up, I was digging it into my arm, and Joey cut himself over here, and we took the quills, and we signed the contract in blood. We have pictures of it. I mean, we actually did it, and like there were a couple of people in the room passing out. They couldn't believe we did it. So we did it. So
let's fast forward to the album "Hail to England." You guys recorded some of this album in England. Is that correct?
No. Well, recorded a lot of it when we recorded "Hail to England." We recorded in Canada.
In Toronto.
Phase 1 studio, Jack Richardson.
And why'd you guys go to Toronto to record this album?
Well, because we were really we hired Jack Richardson to produce it, and they call him Canada's Round Mound of Sound because he produced Guess Who, Burton Cummings, Bob Seger's Nightwish. He's had a whole list of great hit records that he had done, but he did this song with Rush and Max Webster called Battle Scar, and it was so dense and so amazing. Battle Scar is that we figured that Joey and I figured, well, if he could do that for that, I mean, if he could do that for those 2 bands together, 2 drummers, 2 bass players, 2 guitar players, he surely could be able to capture Manowar sound. And so we hired him. So we found ourselves up in Phase 1 Canada, but we recorded almost two records. We recorded most Sign of the Hammer too. So
let's fast forward to Kings of Metal, your final album with Manowar. Do you think that's the best album you recorded with them? For a lot of fans, that's of course the highest selling album. Do you think that's the best album though you made with them?
I don't know. I'm kind of like it's Fighting the World and Kings of Metal were 2 of the first digital records made.
Yeah.
Right. We recorded them on something that's called a synclavier. And it's just everything it was just a basic Pro Tools kind of thing, and put together. But Fighting the World sound was good, but Kings of Metal had a much better sound. And I think that Kings of Metal just came at the time that the band was peaking, especially in Europe. Because all the heavy lifting, I had done all the heavy lifting with the band. It was ready. And then when it came out, boom, and then I was out of the band. How do you do that? It's like, for Joey, it probably could be the worst. He fired me, by the way. And the worst possible mistake ever made, beside Mick Taylor leaving the Rolling Stones, was because the live tour, the tour that could have resulted after Kings of Metal, and the live record, and the whole, the whole process was cut short. And they had David Shankle. I mean, which he's okay, but I mean, the whole energy of the band was gone. And it wasn't until 1990. It took 4 years, six years to do the next record, Triumph of Steel. I had done 6 records in 6 years with Manowar, and it took 6 years to do another record.
Yeah. So why were you fired, Ross?
Well, because when money and greed and all the same bullshit rears its ugly head in a business, things happen. And
yeah, go ahead.
I don't take bullshit from nobody, and I wasn't going to take bullshit from him. Tell me what to wear, what to do. First of all, wait a minute. When you met me, I had already done 4 major albums, major records on major labels. Okay, I had already done 3 with the Dictators and 1 at Shakin' Street. You had done 0. So all these people that we're talking to now, I had met a long time ago in Europe. These guys like Malcolm Doan and Dante Benuto and all these guys in Kerrang. And I've been interviewed by them many times over before Manowar. They said, you're not going to tell me what to talk. You're not going to tell me how to talk and what to say and what to dress, And then he knew that. So all he wanted in his band was puppets.
So you think Joey wanted to make the band more commercial? You were for that?
That's not the reason.
Okay. What was going on then? Money. It was all money then.
Money and greed and him not having to have a partner like me, 50% partner. So I don't like airing that out, but so, but we see how great it was after I left. So
now I know last year some comments went viral on the Waste Some Time with Jason Green show. You apologized to Joey after that. Did you ever hear from him?
Fans.
Nope. You never heard from him again?
I apologize from the fans to the fans. What?
So to the Joey, you don't have any. You're still upset at Joey then?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
come
on. I mean, it's just like, what I said about him. I said, I just said I went against what I believe in, is to not air that shit out in public, And I apologize to the Manowar fans for saying that. I didn't apologize to him.
Now, you played with Manowar again in 2005. Why would you ever go on a stage again with Joey then?
Well, it's because before I really realized, the length and breadth of the ripoff, and so, but I have no animosity against Eric but it's just it's come to be that it won't happen again. I can tell you.
Do you think you were better off? Getting fired, of course, must have been terrible. But do you think you were better off not being in the band? The last 30 years.
Yes.
As a person and everything, you think you're better off then?
Looking back, of course, because I had my freedom. I do what I want. I'm like, Ross the Boss Band plays all over the place. I mean, we do festivals. We do, I have a record deal with AFM. I mean, I have other bands. I have other things I do, and it's just nothing gets in the way because I do what I want. I'm playing tomorrow. I'm playing with the Dictators with our new lineup. We played Wednesday night in the Debonair Club in Teaneck, and tomorrow night we're playing with Blue Oyster Cult at St. George's Theater in Staten Island.
Yeah.
Tuesday we're in Providence, and then we go to Canada. So I'm busy. I'm busy. Plus my own business.
I think you're
I have
busier than Manowar, actually. Manowar's not doing much right now. So
yeah, batting cage, and we've been in business for 17 years in New York City, and which is an amazing feat. And so I have Death Dealer, a metal band, and then Roast the Boss band, and then Dictators, which is more punk hard rock. But I do what I want. I play. I work every day. I'm happy as a clam. Do I have my regrets in life? Of course I do. But I'm busy, and I'm happy if I have a guitar in my hand. I'm very happy. And Manowar for sure didn't play enough.
Yeah,
didn't. Should have been playing 200 shows a year back then.
Talk to me about a Death Dealer. How did that band come about?
Well, it's friends of mine. This guy Sean Peck, from Cage.
Yeah, he was on the show a few months ago. So
yeah, yeah. So and Marshall. So I get this call from Sean. He goes, "You're in my band. I want you to be in my band." I go, "What band? What band's that? I don't know who you are." I go, "All right. I have this. It's gonna be me, Stu Marshall, you, Mike Davis, and Rhino, or some. I go, okay, nice to know that. All right, okay. So 10 minutes later, it was I'm scratching my head. 10 minutes later, this wonderful guy from Australia gets on the phone. Hi, mate. It's like, this is Stu. Oh, hi, Stu. Hi, Stu. How do you do? I go, he goes, we want you in the band. I go, all right. Can I hear some music? Can I hear a few songs, please, before I tell you what I'm going to do? So he goes, sure, mate. I'm sorry. Sean was a little excited. I go, okay, send me some stuff. And he sent me the songs from War Master. And I go, oh, I like this. I'm like, see, and I don't have to do all the fucking heavy lifting in this band. I could just play. I could just be the guitar player. I go, okay, I'm on. So that's how I joined.
And last few years, with Ross the Boss, your solo band, you've been playing Manowar sets. How's that been?
Amazing.
Is it been almost better playing the songs now by yourself than with Manowar?
Yeah. I mean, people love me. People love my songs. People love the RTB records, 4 of them now, and people want to see the my version of the Manowar show. And wherever we do, people just think it's a lot better. Like we did Barcelona Fest when Manowar canceled Barcelona Fest, right?
Yeah,
they called that Sunday, the day they because that Friday was the show.
Yeah,
and so my Monday we had the deal to play, and we played Friday at Barcelona, 80,000 people. It was amazing. So we did Sweden Rock. Everywhere we play, we do great. It's wonderful. It's Manowar without all the bullshit.
Any advice for young guitar players out there?
Yes, I do have some advice for you guys. I said, don't start your guitar vocabulary with Eddie Van Halen. Don't start learning him first, because he didn't start like that. He's my contemporary. So we started with the blues, with Chuck Berry, with Muddy Waters, with all the guys I had mentioned, Mike Bloomfield, Eric Clapton, Cream. Learn. I'm not saying that's what you have to do, guys, but have a good knowledge of that music and the styles and the stylings of that music. Just don't go with don't start off with the sweeping and all that stuff, because it's a shallow. Okay, you want to build your foundation so you have you have something to take from when the years go by. You want to have a big foundation. A building that has a shitty foundation, what happens to it?
It just falls.
That's right.
All right. I want to thank you for coming on the show, Ross. It was a great talking to you. It was a great interview.
Hope to meet you one day, my brother.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, everybody.
Hey, buddy.